Welcome back, boys and girls. Hope you're having a pleasant evening. I sure am. We have a wonderful high summer evening here in Sweden in August 2026. But in the game, we are at the end of November, the 30th, 1941. It's the end of turn 24. As you can see here, we have green. I'd say we are getting into heavy snow territories a lot on the ground conditions. But I guess what you want to see is you see these low pressure fronts here. So the weather must be bad in Russia. Yes, that's, might say that again. Look here. Wait. Okay. You can see here that most of the front, except in a narrow strip down by the Black Sea and on Kerch and around Leningrad, we have blizzards now. So there's been very few air operations this week. And next week, the air conditions gonna change a bit. This looks rather strange to me, to be honest. Just a huge circle here. I guess we just have to see. To me, it looks like we're having mostly heavy snow already all over the map. These color combinations, I'm not quite sure what this green means, because it's not on the color scale here. But there's the weather for you. It's bad weather. It's November, December. So air-wise, we only had a few air attacks in the very north and the very south, but we still managed to cause 1,800 casualties and even take out 10 AFVs. So a little bit there. And during the ground phase, we've had a lot of Soviet attacks. And so far, we caused over 12,000 casualties and 120 tanks. Yeah, and we suffered actually very few losses, manpower-wise. A little bit more tanks on the attacks. Not quite sure why we suffered so many tank losses during the entire turn, of course, with the German attacks. But we are fairly close to suffering the same as the Germans now with the winter approaching, and this is not looking good for the Germans. Leningrad, well, we did kind of strengthen the line here, where the Germans been attacking a little bit. I constructed 3 new forts along with the previous 3 forts. I'm hoping to set up some fort levels in case there is a German breakthrough. I still suspect they might be interested in taking out the Kolpino suburb here. It's fairly hard to get new troops into Leningrad. I do have 1 fresh division sitting here, the 370th, and I have another one on the rail here in Yaroslav that is heading towards Leningrad. But my reserve pool doesn't have a lot of new forces that I can send in here. So I kind of have to live with what I got up here. I'm hoping the Germans are just gonna feel very sad about the situation and give up. I bombed them a bit outside Kolpino here, as you can see. I just have to hope for the best and that they don't reach the shores of Lake Ladoga. Even worse is the northwestern front. I balanced it down to 69 out of 72, kind of over-exaggerated, emptying it out. And there is a huge gap in the line, here, here, and here, and the Germans have infiltrated here. So this guy here, he's gonna be probably overrun and circled and eliminated, but it's just a brigade, and I really don't know where I should move him. He's gonna be extremely fatigued if I move him just a single hex in either direction. He's not isolated now, so I think I'm just gonna leave him where he is. Then we have a single cavalry division here. And That's a very thin center line here. And then we have a thin line here, and really the area of the 16th Army is kind of crumbling. I do have some new divisions and rifle brigades reinforcing from off map from the Soviet reserves that I'm gonna have to rail into this area here. I suspect this very strongly defended division here is going to be, if not encircled, semi-encircled, but I'm not willing to give up this corner position here in level 3 fort very strong. So I'm just hoping that new forces can enter here and prevent this from totally collapsing. It's by far the weakest part of the front. Further south, however, things have kind of stabilized around the first shock army section here. I have also stabilized this red army here at Regev. It's fairly strong, and it's not looking too shabby in this. This green army is not, it's under Stavka command, so they're really not leadership wise fit to fight too much, but I just have too many small stupid units in this area here. It's not looking great. Regev is looking better, but here it's looking very bad. I hope to make this video kind of short because there's not really that much of a difference. Now we come to the center here. I think I can turn on a bit of combats here. We made 2 counterattacks here, no reserve activations, and I pushed back panzer regiments sitting here. So I hope the Germans won't push in here, but I'm leaving 1 division covering the railroad. I make 1 attack here, 2 by Moscow, mostly punishing panzer regiments sitting in the front. And I have started to push up more mechanized formations towards the front lines. I'm kind of planning on pushing into this pocket here with my tank formations. We have a new leadership army. The 50th Army here, under the command of General Gordov, is taking up command of important positions. As you can see here, I'm pushing up this front line here. The river is frozen, so there's no reason for me to sit and hide behind the river. So I'm just going to stack them up here, a couple of divisions. And I feel that my line inside Saratov is getting stronger. I did place 2 brigades into these shoulders behind the city itself, so now they have much stronger defensive power than at the start of the turn. And I've been able to push in multiple brigades inside front Texas, north, well, that will be east of Moscow here. We're already at a level 2 fort here, and I'm pushing up a bit here as well. So kind of slowly approaching the Germans, but not really an all-out assault. Same here, I'm bunching up, leaving gaps, and kind of forming a continuous line. Not that many attacks in this sector here, only 1 here where we rout the Germans, and another one where we also rout the Germans. So as you can see here, it's quite a few routed German formations. There's another one here. And then comes the sector of our main assault in the direction of Tula. And we make 5 smaller attacks with success, no reserve activations. And then what happened was that I sent out a cavalry division here in front of my line, and I noticed that I captured this hex here, which if the the Germans had an active ground unit inside Tula, I would not have flipped this hex, because I flipped all the adjacent hexes here, including the cross. And then I realized Tula only had a headquarter and a routed unit, so I pushed in a mechanized division, the 202nd Mechanized Division. It has a lot of supplies, fairly good, but of course it's very fatigued now with 55 fatigue. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape. And I captured Tula without any resistance, which was a very good news. And I've been able to push up the railroads to this hex here with the second NKPS unit. So there's only 2 more hexes. And I did move up my Moscow transport group here and put them in Kubinka, and hopefully Kubinka can connect and send in air supplies into Tula the next turn. Could I do it this turn? I could not. Okay. Destination is Tula Air Base. Lipetsk should not be the staging base. That is... Wait. Vyazma, Tambov. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to fly in air supply this turn. So I'm just gonna leave that. I might have to check it out, but anyways, I did put up new depots on this airbase here, and also on this airbase down here by the German front, so that I hopefully can use that as a staging base if I can get supplies into this here. Or maybe I can just fly directly into Tula. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I can, and maybe the blizzard weather makes it a very bad idea. I'm doing my best to prepare for air supplies into Tula. And yes, we are getting a bit tired, high fatigue, combat preparation is lower, but all in all, our juggernaut is every week is pushing further and further towards the... We captured Tula this week, which was an incredible feat. And from here on, well, I guess we'll need 1 week to establish ourselves and really secure the position at Tula and the railroad inside it. But from then, obviously from Tula, we are gonna try to exploit out and reach Soviet positions in the north. I'm not sure if the German AI will be able to handle this, or if we're gonna create a huge pocket. But there's still a few hexes left, and you know, for every square hex we push westwards, our lines are getting more and more stretched, and supplies and fatigue, and it's kind of hard to advance in this weather, in this terrain, in the snow conditions that are here. I can barely hear the music. I don't know how the stream... Okay, that's because we have very low recording, or my... Yeah, it's probably higher on the recording. Anything else here? I did rail in a new army headquarters here. The 31st Army, under the command of General Katukov, who is a 6 mech commander with a 6 morale. He's not very good at commanding infantry, so he's a pure tank commander, but I guess that is what I need. I want to replace the 17th Army's commander here, which is a 4.1 average, which has a worse mech rating and worse morale rating, and everything worse. Who is kind of my trash army in the front line here. And I moved the 3rd Army into the Bryansk front, and if you watch this series, you know that Bryansk is my assault headquarters, so that's meaning that a lot of infantry here on this axis here are hopefully gonna get better prepared at attacking. I had 2 assault armies at Moscow, but they really don't need it, so I transferred a 3rd down here to the breakthrough Tula sector instead. Forty-ninth Army under Stavka is doing nothing. It's kind of a conveyor belt that I send in new troops in Tambov, I rail them into Lipetsk, and then I replace them and I start moving up towards this direction here, and then these guys move 1 or 2 hexes westwards so that I maintain a defensive line all the way back to Lipetsk. So nothing very exciting going on here. I don't have the... If I am to protect the southern flank of the breakthrough, I can't really mount an offensive in this area as well. Although I did... No, that was last turn. I gave him a nosebleed across the river here. However, down at Voronezh, we performed a lot of attacks the further south we go. Oh, you look at all of this. No reserve activations. These are really, really weak German regiments now. I suspect the AI retreats and just walks back, and the next week I hit them. They're not very strong here, and I'm actually kind of pushing out here with these bridges, leaving my fortified positions. And even here I am advancing 1 hex as well. It's not because I have a destination decided with there. I mean, cutting off this railroad here, is that interesting? No, probably not very interesting. So I'm basically just pursuing very weak Axis forces and punishing them for being in my way, because I have the advantage of strength numbers in this sector here. So I'm obviously not reinforcing here, but the 43rd Army overall has done very well for it. It has 10 wins and only 1 loss, so very well done, General Fedyuninsky. More attacks. My tank formations are kind of resting and refitting here. But this section of the front looks stable. If anything, I am on the offensive rather than on the defensive. You know that I have my supply depot here and my main supply line coming down here. So basically I was trying to defend this. I'm not going to say that I overdid, but I do have some offensive punch in this sector here. There's not much to say. I don't want to go through every single individual battle here. It's either a retreat or a... But as you could see on the overall losses, we are mostly having very advantageous combat odds, which is uncommon for the Soviets. I think it's a sign of the German AI not quite being able to handle the weather, the terrain, the end of season strategic position. They are overstretched around Moscow in those bulges that are going nowhere, and the AI can't really handle it, and I'm punishing him for it in these sectors where he's weak. Even here, where I was the most weak last week in 13th and 37th Army sectors, I performed one counterattack. Well, it's better than nothing. And even here, it is at 38-1, 6-1 losses in the blizzard. So that I now kind of have stabilized even this sector here. Don't think I performed any attacks with my elite 4th Army because I'm getting a little bit too worn out, so I think I'm gonna rest them for this week and do nothing with them. It was at the beginning of this week that we got so many new guard units in this sector here, so I guess I'll rest and refit them a bit before pursuing their offensive capabilities further. A bit further south around Stalino, we make a few attacks. This one is rather interesting, I think. Yeah, it's the Liebstandarte SS Motorized Brigade that retreated with fairly heavy losses. They did eliminate 33 tanks while losing 5. So it was a hard-fought battle, but we did push them back a hex. And then we had a single German infantry regiment here that we pushed back, and as you can see again, 4-1 losses, only 5 tanks lost. So very nice attritional ratios. So the front now looks very strong around Stalino. We have nice frontal positions all the way around here. Stalino itself, the entire southern now to Mariupol, and I'm slowly pushing up new forces in this inside pocket here. I do have 2 new infantry divisions that railed up from Baku, that's coming from the Transcaucasus theater box. So with time we are gonna get strong enough to actually push up and cut off finally the gap that's been forming here. But the Germans aren't really strong enough to take advantage of this clear terrain that I'm not strong enough to occupy yet. So Baku got a lot of reinforcement. We have 3 more mountain divisions here and a 4th mountain division elite here that I'm gonna push into Kerch. This resulted in the Transcaucasus theater box being severely under strength at 74%, because I did manually pull out forces last week because it was quite strong, because I didn't really check out how many automatic scripted map transfers there was going to be this turn. So now I'm desperately trying to fill out this theater box because it's severely under strength. Other than that, my theater boxes are looking fairly stable. I guess Forest is down to 96%. Oops. Northern looks fine. So right now there's a threat of losing terrain at Leningrad, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I'm a bit cocky after holding Kolpino last week's combat. The Rezhev sector is kind of stabilized by now, and so is the other armies here. It's basically on the 16th army sector here that is weak. And Moscow is fairly strong. The offensive is going well. Even our critical sector in Ukraine, the retreating troops from Kharkov, are now kind of stabilizing. So overall, I think the front is looking stronger than it has for, well, maybe ever, but for quite a while. Anything interesting? Not really. I am kind of getting a little bit more artillery back into the front line. I think I have almost 40 artillery units refitting inside Stavka. And I do believe a lot of them gained a lot of strength so that I can send them out to army headquarters on the map. I can show you. Clear filters. Just gonna show you artillery, and I'm just gonna show you support, and we're just gonna grab the ones inside Stavka. I wish I could, maybe I should take a screenshot here and show you how many, because manually I won't be able to remember how much these weaker, how much they repair sitting inside Stavka on a national supply source, only 2 hexes away from an enemy unit. Should these like fill up with artillery in one single turn, or yeah, I don't know. But I'm certainly hoping these 36 repairing, refitting artillery units will regain strength rapidly, quickly, because I don't want to have to send them back to the reserve pool and then back on the map. That's 2 weeks. But I do believe you regain quite a lot of strength. Because artillery isn't produced in a factory per se, it's just general default generic equipment production. So I don't know how that system works in the game, to be honest. But overall, I think we're back. Key armies have around 4 artillery regiments. Certain elite armies have a bit more. And in quiet sectors, we were still at 3 regiments on those army headquarters. And now we're actually seeing that quite a few key armies have 2 mortar battalions, and everyone else has only 1 where in a quiet sectors. So artillery wise, I mean, we are above 60,000 artillery pieces on the map, so maybe it's not that important, but I try to micromanage my artillery units and strengthen them in key locations. I'm not microing so much that I'm using elite artillery in elite armies. It's just, you can do that and kind of farm and gain more guard artillery. I'm just checking morale, fatigue, combat preparation, and experience. And when they get strong enough, I deploy them into an army. And that might be an army that's going to lose and suffer lots of losses and lose a lot of combats, and artillery regiments will thereby become weaker and less elite. So you should really focus your elite artillery regiments in successful armies if you have the... I've done it a few times, but it's just too micro intensive for me right now with the front is messed up as it is. Oh yeah, I think I smashed another Romanian brigade down here. Did they get a... Oh! Did you... Yeah, I think they got a... Did they get an... Right, this is kind of interesting. So, I sent in a single mountain rifle division, a very strong one, that was sitting as a reserve behind here, into the port of Genicek. I attacked, and the Germans activated a Romanian cavalry brigade, so I had to fight, well, quite a lot more than I bargained for. I was hoping to not... I haven't gotten a lot of reserve activations here down in the Romanian sector, but there we go. We had a Romanian cavalry brigade, but we managed to rout them and suffered 6-1. They suffered 6-1 losses to our... So we actually did quite fine even against a Romanian reserve activation. It was in clear terrain, no fort. I don't plan on making any winter offensive moves out of Kursk per se, but you know, if I can punish them when they sit next to me. I suppose the best way to siege here probably would have been to sit 1 hex away and just wait for me to make a mistake, come out of my defensive lines or something like that. So I'm gonna try to keep it a little bit short and sweet this turn. I've got 500,000 reserve troops released as an event at the beginning of this turn, and I think around 400,000 of those reserves just went into troops on the map, and it has substantially heightened the average strength of my weakened infantry divisions on the map, on the front line. So I'm feeling a lot of relief from that event this turn, at the end of this turn. And then about 100,000 went into my manpower pool, and our regular reinforcement kind of went into reserve and other theater boxes. So we are 5.4 million men or something on the map now with that boost from the turn 24 event. I would really like to get another front on the map, because I have quite a few armies on the Stavka command, because I just don't want to overstack my fronts. But with such a large army, I feel like having the German AI on a high difficulty levy is a little bit of a compensation for its weakness tactically skill wise, but I still feel like the human player has the advantage against the AI, even at this difficulty level overall. But there are certain challenges that you can see still at the front. I want to finish the winter offensive, at least in this campaign, before I declare anything over. But obviously, if we manage to make a huge pocket and the AI can't respond on that, and I decide to go through with it, it's gonna be more or less a game over in this war, I'd say. Anyways, if you made it to the end, thanks for watching. Don't hesitate to ask any questions or make any comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.